Hello everyone, welcome to day 10, Journey to World Chess Champion. In today's video, we're going to be analyzing another one of my matches against Grandmaster Darren Naroditsky. I've chosen one, two, three, four, five games, and I've chosen 5 critical moments from each game that I'm going to show you guys. Every single time I play against Dania, the games are absolutely crazy. So you guys enjoyed the last segment where I analyzed those games. So I'm still, I dropped a bit, only number 6 in the world on chess.com. Quite mediocre, but I'll try to get back over 3,200. Unfortunately, the top 2 guys never play against me. So we're going to start with this game. I had the white pieces. It started out as a sort of Maroczy-bind Sicilian. And in this position, I'm attacking the knight. And, well, the most natural move would be to move the knight. But after you move the knight, I'll probably take this pawn or take this pawn. But I can also play the move f4. And after the move f4, I'm attacking the knight, and this knight is a double attack. So he will have to then sacrifice the piece, and he'll recuperate, 2 pawns, 2 bishops, and some initiative. But it's very difficult. So here, Danya, I did notice a possibility that instead of moving the knight, you can just take the pawn. And then the point being that if I take back, now the knight moves. And you don't have these issues, or the knight could go even here anyways. And then now I've got a super weak king, so my opponent played this. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's a bit of an issue. Because obviously I didn't really want to take, because after takes, with the rook on the open file, this looked extremely scary. He doesn't have 9 seconds. Why this is I don't know why the clock is messed up, but he has a minute 17 here. So I was quite worried. So he took, I was like, okay, let me just take back. I was a bit worried. But then he says, okay, I really want you to take the piece. So then I take, and I bring the knight in. I'm trying to block this bishop. But again, these 2 rooks in the open files, there's so many potential attacks he takes. I take, he can check. Obviously, he's hoping that potentially, there's this. But here, here, I think I'm sort of running away and I'm saving up too much material. But I go king f1 instead. He comes in, I go rook c2 defending. Rook c8 trying to remove the defender. And here I almost blundered. So here after takes, I almost played knight f5. And what I had blundered, and I saw this in a split second, I realized, wait, if I take, always look, I can take back. But if I take back, he has bishop c4 check. And, okay, still I'm not lost, but this was quite concerning to me, and I was quite worried. So I thought, okay, let me just take and go rook c1. Again, with some potential knight f5, you kind of can't trade rooks, because if you, for example, if you take, I might start an attack of my own, Um, my pieces are sort of coordinating while they're protecting each other. So he goes back to e8. I go queen f2. He goes here now. This was a very critical moment. And again, with 38 to 17 seconds, this sort of just ends the game because obviously defending in blitz with no time is difficult. But here I was able to liquidate. So I play f4. Point being that you take, well, I can just follow. He took. I took. Obviously, if the queen just moves, I take the bishop. He has to take. And you think, sometimes in chess, there's a saying, if you see a good move, look for a better one. So actually, you can give a check. King goes up, and the knight forks the king and the rook. And then after you take, let's say knight g5, you're just up a full rook. Okay, you have 2 pawns against 5 pawns, but you're going to chop up this pawn, and then you're going to take this pawn, and these 2 double pawns aren't that great. You're just going to run this, push the pawn all the way to pound town. So this was a very nice game. Kept some pressure on the clock, kept some control. Never lost, but a very good defense. Against Dani, it's always such amazing games. This is the second game. This started out from Mikhail Khan. He was actually following a game that I had a class game in a rare situation. So in this position, I had to make a very difficult decision to go for a very crazy sequence. So of course now my bishop he's last move bishop e7. And obviously my rook is sort of trapped, but I was counting on some tactics here. So what I was counting is, of course, I take the pawn, he takes my rook, and now this was the sort of critical moment to decide the right path. So one move that's tempting is h4. For example, this is hanging maybe. I wasn't sure about queen c7, because obviously he goes here. So I thought to myself, okay, in this position, why don't I just take? The point being that obviously the knight's attacked. Let's say the knight moves back. Now I play h4. The point behind h4 is that you need to keep in touch with the f2 pawn, and anywhere you move the queen, like for example, if you want to try to counterattack, I take and I go bishop d4. And then I'm sort of holding on. This knight's pretty bad. I have a really great clamp on the dark squares. So the only way is to go here, but then I go bishop d4. Next I go knight c6. He's got a terrible pawn structure. I've got to only up in exchange for a pawn. So I was very happy with this. Um, so he decides to go forward, knight c8, trying to go in. I go king d7. Again, a very ballsy move, but I thought, well, okay, the knight's trapped. If you go rook c1, I go h4. And again, how do you keep in touch with obviously the king is in a mildly precarious position, but I dominate the dark square. So if I can sort of coordinate well, again, so he goes in, and now I find the really important defensive move. So you might want to take this way, but after the king moves, you have some checks coming, so maybe d4 to cutting off the rooks coming. But I find bishop takes king h1, bishop g3. Now the queen is actually stuck because let's say the queen moves, like then I can just take the rook. So I'm keeping it's a double attack still, forcing check, and now I could take. Why not take? Well, my king is very safe over here, and again, white's king is going to be the one that's going to be in danger soon. So rook goes over, king g6, very simple moves. Queen c8, knight c6, takes. Again, next is queen f4. I'm going to be going mating. Now queen f4 check up, and there's no more checks, and I'm just going to mate. He tries to go d4, rook g1. But after check, he resigns here, but obviously if check here, I can mate this way. I can also mate this way. So this is a very nice tactical game, kept things under control, and it's really nice when you can navigate such complex positions in blitz, just when your intuition is right. So I was feeling very good at the start. And then another theme against Danya is he's a very strong player, and he has great openings that are tailored to blitz. So sometimes, if I'm not careful, I would just get a much worse position at the opening against him. Um, it's usually how the opening goes will dictate how the match goes against him. So in this position, I'll just briefly show the start. I mouse flipped e3, and then I mouse flipped knight f3, and I'm just much worse. Um, so essentially, I'm sort of stuck in a position. But I say to myself, okay, let me just defend, let me hold, let me just create the Great Wall of China, and or the Berlin Wall, or whatever you want to call it, and I slowly defend. So I go rook c2, sorry. I go rook c2, now I go a4, poking and prodding. Now, okay, this is my worst piece. Let's bring it to b4. So I bring the knight to b4. Then I say, okay, this knight's very strong. Let's go back and kick it out of b3. So I'm slowly, the momentum is shifting, and he lashes out. He sacrifices a piece. I take the piece. I go here. Knight comes to c5, and now this knight is very strong. Obviously, you don't really want to take this knight because now my bishop is now amazing. And then once the bishop comes to d4, the knight comes to c3, and then suddenly I have a perfect blockade of his two pawns. All my pieces coordinate perfectly. So slowly, I consolidate, he sacks, he blunders that I have this pin, you know, um, and then slowly but surely, I take all his pieces. I also had a time edge, and I win the game. This was a very nice defensive effort, keeping things under control, keeping the pressure, keeping the momentum, and never giving up. This is the theme of my matches. So then this is the fourth critical moment. Um, I had a great opening, but bishop takes f4, and here I need to be just very simple move. You can probably try to think like basically here I have an amazing position. I should just go queen h5, and the game's basically over. I think this is the move. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah, the engine's saying. Yeah, so sorry, take takes, and here I play bishop f2. But here I have 2 minutes. Like I should think, why not queen g4? Why not queen h4? But again, like I'm down two pawns, but I have an amazing knight on d4. I have like a free roll to attack, and I play bishop h6, and I blunder bishop f2, and f2, and here I'm just thinking to myself, what have I done? I'm so upset at myself. But it's really important that despite this, to really keep some level of control and to keep some level of like mental stability. So of course I take, and I miss this. This would have been very nice. I should take, and then I give a check first, and then I take, and then here there's one pawn. The king's still weak, but these are like 7-way moves. I play the much razor rook g2, takes, queen d2. I thought, well, if I can castle queenside, then I could perhaps counterattack. And I have a knight. My pawn structure isn't that bad. Potential weakness. So he gives a check. He goes for this. Danya has a tendency to go for very forcing lines sometimes, so it's really important to be very focused and alert because he'll go for these like very very concrete lines. But suddenly I'm moving, and eventually he sort of makes a mistake. My king gets out, and then my rook queen's activated, and then it's once I trade the queens, I take the pawn, and I push the pawn all the way. So this was again a really great opening. As you can see, when I get good opening positions, the momentum and the flow really sort of is really important in blitz. And then, oh, I just I just showed the line, but I wanted to, I wanted to have you guys guess. But so this is a very interesting position. It came out of a French, and I found a really nice way to sort of break through. So right now, I am under some serious positional risk, um, because right now my kings could be potentially very weak on the queen side, and there's sort of a blockade right now. But I found the best way to break the blockade, which is to play g4, sacrificing a pawn. And now I've opened up the H file. Now I take on e5, he takes, I go bishop d6. Now I give a check and I go e5. Now, okay, the engine, there's maybe cleaner ways, but with the blitz game, now the point is that the king's very weak. I'm down a pawn, but I want to go e5 to open up the bishop. He goes at b6, I go queen b6. I want to reroute the queen to g6, potentially go bishop takes g4, and I have this sort of move. If I move the bishop, I'm threatening mate in one. So if I can move this bishop and create two threats, for example, in this position, let's say play a move like rook a2. Now I can play bishop g3. The king must go to hg1 because I'm threatening mate. And then I can play bishop takes f2, queen takes f2, rook h1, king takes h1, queen takes f2. Now the rook's coming here and it's just mate. So this was sort of the threat. It's a dual purpose move, and then also it could swing away. So like obviously you go bishop g6, like happened in the game, queen g6, f3, bishop g3, rook h1. Now I actually swing the queen back to b6. It's a nice little, style. And then now back to b6, forcing knight to d4. I take, and then I bring the queen all the way back to h6, threatening rook takes, and mate. So the queen must go to d3. I go rook e8, cutting off the e file. Next I play rook g1, king g1, queen comes in, and then that's checkmate. So this was a pretty good match against Mr. Naroditsky, the prophet, as you guys call him. So really enjoying these matches. I know that Hikaru prefers to play Blitz against 2,900 players and win 40 games in a row, but I much prefer playing very strong players for improvement. Because obviously, like online chess rating is nice, but the goal is to improve my classical chess, to improve my general chess, and I think playing really strong and long matches against strong players like Danya is really interesting. So I hope you guys enjoy these captivating games. I hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and follow on the journey. It's February 9th right now, so we have almost only 8 days until I go to Tunisia. So that's a week until the Over the War tournament. I can't wait to do some sort of vlogs during the tournament. I can't wait to show you guys a before and after at every single one of my hotel rooms. Just by the way, I'm going to tell a story, and people will take this the wrong way, but let's just say that at two of the last hotels I've stayed in, I've left a 500 € tip in the tournament in Croatia that I won, and then the organizer said after the tournament, I went to the cleaning lady and gave her 500 €, and then okay, I will not discuss the second one because I don't need to prove my character and my ethics, but I can assure you guys that I have full respect for hotels and hospitality. I think I've actually stayed in so many hotels, I should become a hotel critic. So, anyways, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next one. Thank you all for supporting me on this journey. You have no idea how much it means to me.